Welcome back to the TD Podcast. We are your hosts, Tony and Dak, and in today's episode, we're switching some stuff up. We're actually going to be going back to our preseason takes and giving you our three best and three worst, and seeing how we did, seeing how well we know ball, and how well we can forecast how the NFL season will go. And kicking off our episode, we will be kicking off with our first and 10, which is typically a couple of things, but today we're just going to get straight into the nitty gritty and just give you some injuries that could impact you and your favorite teams and your fantasy teams if you weren't able to watch this weekend. I'm just going to be giving you the guys that are confirmed out or likely out for the season. Those being Michael Penix with an ACL injury. At the current date, it's not confirmed how long he'll be out, but it's speculated it will be out for the season. Jaden Daniels is out with an elbow injury. CJ Stroud is confirmed to be out with concussion already. Sam Laporta has a back injury and is being put on IR. And then Calvin Ridley is out for the rest of the season with a broken fibula, I believe, which is the shin bone kind of spot on your leg. So very, very no bueno for the already hurting Titans team. So that was our quick first and 10. Much like some of the teams, much like some of the teams we will be talking about. It was a very, very short-lived drive. For our second segment, we'll be getting into our worst and best takes for the from the preseason. I will be kicking us off with my first one. We'll just go back and forth. That way it's not just me yapping or you yapping for a whole lot of time. So starting off with my first worst take, it is the Seahawks. I projected the Seahawks to stink this year. I had them going 5-12. In reality, they are already sitting at 7-4, so already have more wins than I expected. They're second in an ultra-competitive NFC West division with 3 teams over 7 wins or at 7 wins, and then there's the Cardinals just hanging around the bottom in the kiddie pool. And then they have the 5th-ranked defense, number 1 receiver in yards right now, unless he was dethroned, but I don't think so because he had a pretty good game. And then going into that, though, I'm still not really bought into Sam Darnold. I did watch the Seahawks-Rams game, and he made quite a few mistakes, and most of them came from being under pressure, which is something that I had talked about in the preseason episode, what we did way back in, what was that, August, maybe?
Preseason episode, I think was in July.
Let me go back and check. See, that's how ill-prepared we were today, because life comes at you fast.
It indeed does.
Weekly pick'em, way too early award predictions. Oh, I might be pivoting on one of my best takes. What was that? NFC record prediction? May 29th. So that was a hot minute ago. So May 29th, 2025 is when that record prediction was made. So yeah, quite a while ago, and I'm honestly not too upset with it. Not too upset with it. They added Rashid Shaheed, and that's a big boost because he also has experience with Clint Kubiak, and while he was with him in New Orleans, that offense was pretty gnarly, especially while they were healthy. If you don't recall, before Rashid Shaheed got hurt, and then Taysom Hill and Chris Olave and everybody else on that team.
Scouting Vantley was also on that squad last year before he got traded to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Kind of weird how that happened twice.
Yeah. So they all were dropping, I think, 40 points a game for the first 2 weeks. Once on the second week on the Cowboys, first week, I don't remember who the first week was, but I was a passive Saints fan because I'm a Derek Carr diehard. So, yeah. But all that to be said, the Seahawks are good at football. Sam Darnold, I'm not sold on, but Mike McDonald is a good coach. So, and the
Yeah,
stats prove that.
yeah. So my worst take, kind of on the same lines as you, but like not as, not as good. Kind of more bad. I had the Bears, um, at 5-12, and now they're 7-3, and they're leading the NFC North. Um, I didn't ever see that coming. I didn't see Brian Johnson turning around that team that quick. I was a big Caleb Williams hater. I wouldn't necessarily say hater. Sorry, a doubter. Didn't really believe in what he could do, but he's putting together a decent season right now. 13 TDs for 4 interceptions. He's not necessarily turning the ball over, but he just still reminds me a little bit of Justin Fields, where it's like he's not throwing interceptions, but he's not throwing the ball very well, like
Mm,
downfield much. Um, but I mean, he's not keeping them out of games, and I feel like a little bit last year where he was just taking some dumb sacks and trying to make stuff out of nothing.
yeah.
And didn't really believe in him. Didn't really believe in anything that the Bears were doing. And Brian Johnson has his team,
Ben
right?
Johnson.
Brian Johnson,
Ben.
Ben Johnson,
Ben.
sorry. Ben Johnson has his team at 7-3, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty wild.
Yeah. So basically, our NFC takes were wrong so far, but that's my wrong takes go to the AFC as well. And much to my dismay, my Ashton Genty for Offensive Rookie of the Year was is soiled. It is like milk left on out in the sun on a hot summer day.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't blame him entirely, but Ashton is 19th in rushing yards, 30th in touchdowns, and 36th in success rate. In terms of success rate, I put a lot of that on the Raiders' dysfunction as an organization, especially the offensive line. If you watched yesterday's game, you'll understand. Um, Currently, Ashton Genty's offensive line has, what is that? 3 subs. So there's 2 starters
I mean,
at the moment.
Geno Smith had more rushing yards than Ashton Genty did yesterday.
Yeah,
Genty only had like 7 carries.
yeah. 4 in the
So,
first half against 30 plus passing passes, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and then Pete Carroll comes out later after the and during the post game conference saying that was part of his game plan. So I don't know what that's all about, but all that to say, I don't blame Ashton Genty for this um, less than stellar rookie year. I still think he's a good player. I still think he'll be a good running back in his career. I just don't think that this current Raiders staff is equipped to do so, just from the stubbornness that they've expressed, among other things, and I'll get to that later. But yeah, Ashton Genty winning Offensive Rookie of the Year was one of my worst takes going into this NFL season, much to my dismay.
my second I guess, bad pick. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like really bad.
It's really, really bad.
But I had Jalen Hurts winning the MVP. Um, although he had a decent year last year, he's still kind of riding the back of the run game. And they're not just beating people decisively like they should be. Um, and I don't necessarily think he's even in an MVP conversation right now. I don't think he should be. Um, and again, Saquon Barkley is putting them in positions to win games, and their defense is putting them in position to win games. Jalen Hurts, I don't necessarily think that he's doing anything spectacular. I think you could throw in a guy like Carson Wentz in that offense, and they might still be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think he's been. He's what he's doing right now is proving every internet NFL fan right. Um, for those of you that don't know, Jalen Hurts is like one of the most hated quarterbacks in the NFL. I would say.
After when
Probably,
coming out of Oklahoma in the third round, everyone thought he shouldn't have been picked there.
probably not just because he's on the Eagles, but just because of all the things, I guess. I'm not one of those people, but he's getting there because I traded for him in fantasy football, and since then he's been sucking it up. So he better figure it out. And then my third worst take from the preseason is the Raiders. I projected them to be 10-7. I've said it plenty of times. I bought into Pete Carroll's hopium that he was selling. Um, I got blinded by the lights like a deer, and I turned to roadkill with that take. And I should have known. I every year I buy in, and I told myself this wasn't going to be the year, and then it was the year. But everything about the Raiders stinks. Um, the quarterback stinks. Yesterday he was throwing footballs at the ankles of everybody or over their heads. It was not a good performance by him. I don't know if it's from uh, being worried he's going to get sacked or if it's just he's lost it. I think it could be a combination. The offensive line stinks. Brennan Carroll, Pete Carroll's son, is the offensive line coach, and he's sucking it up real bad. We have Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant haven't played a single snap this year. Both rookies from the third and fourth round, if I'm not mistaken. And where are they at? The season is lost, and instead we are playing. No, we're not even playing Alex Kappa. We moved the center to guard, and then played Will Putnam at center, while also having Forsyth on at left tackle still, and he also stinks. So we had two players who didn't really play last year
because Will Putnam was on the practice squad, and Stone Forsyth, if I'm not mistaken, was a bench warmer on the Seahawks, and then Jordan Meredith was at left guard, while Dylan Parham, who was the current left guard, was at right guard, and then Jackson Powers Johnson was the center. So they've jumbled it all up, thinking they're big brains, and we'll see where that we've seen where it's gotten us. Absolutely nowhere. The receivers, they haven't been very well this year. They're young, and I honestly have a lot more slack for them because I didn't expect much. Trey Tucker has taken another step, though, so I'm happy about that. Brock Bowers is still good at football. He's just been hurt. Michael Mayer also stepped in pretty well for him while he was out. The secondary, going to the defense, secondary stinks. Luckily, there are some young pieces. I'm hoping Darian Porter flips that switch. The linebacking crew sucks. There's nobody that can cover. Devin White's good at tackling, but he can't really do anything else outside of maybe blitz a couple times. Going back to the secondary, Isaiah Palamau also stinks in terms of being a high safety. And then D-line, we also haven't seen any of the rookies there. Tonka Hemingway we saw a little bit, and JJ Pegues as well. But neither of them have gotten any meaningful snaps, and that's very disappointing. All that to say, the Raiders are disappointing. The Raiders were my worst take this preseason, and I hope that Pete Carroll leaves this offseason and we find somebody who's actually going to rebuild this team the way it should be and not think that we can win now when they obviously can't. So with that, my projection was once again 10-7. They are currently 2-8, and I expect them to finish out 3-14.
My third worst take. I had the Chiefs going 14-3. And so did you.
That's because I didn't have the goal to put them where I thought they were gonna be. Because I didn't think that they were gonna be good because of everything that was happening. But I knew I couldn't come out in that hot of a take when our channel was new at that point. So
That's fair.
I think I mentioned it too.
They're sitting at 5-5 right now, outside of the playoffs. Yet they have the highest chance of winning the AFC.
Lost to the Broncos.
Just lost to the Broncos. It's kind of concerning to me that they're losing all the games that they should have lost last year. I believe. And it just doesn't look right. There's a lot of stuff that just isn't going right. But the thing is, with the Chiefs, you don't hear people moaning and crying and everything else. They're going to figure it out. Unlike the Eagles. But there's no way the Chiefs can get to 14-3, obviously, and I don't think they can even get to 10 wins on the year. They'd have to do something spectacular the next 4 to 5 weeks. They have the Colts this week in KC, so they'll probably win that one. But I don't necessarily see them going on a win streak to get them to more than 10 wins because, I mean, 10-7, but I mean, I don't have their schedule in front of me.
I do.
But still, 10-7 is not 14-3.
They have a cupcake rest of the season outside of the Colts. So this week they play the Colts. Next week is Dallas. Following week is the Texans. Then they play the Chargers. Then they play the Titans. Then they play the Broncos. Then they play the Raiders. There's at least 4 wins in there.
And I see 3 losses in there too. So
I think they could lose to the Texans. They could lose to the Broncos. They could lose to the Colts. I expect them to beat the Cowboys. I expect them to beat the Chargers. I expect them to beat the Titans. I expect them to beat the Raiders. So,
and they might get to 10 wins.
Yeah,
they might get to 10 wins.
It won't be pretty
again,
though.
This is like not the Chiefs team that we thought was going to be.
No.
And it's kind of questioning. You know, we've talked about it a lot on the pod. Just about could they even make the playoffs? I said they probably would. I still think they will. Giving how the wild card teams, the Bills or the Patriots are going to take one of them. I think the Colts will win their division, and I don't think another AFC South team will get in. Broncos and Chargers, one of them are just going to get one, and that just leaves one more team that's going to get a wild card, and I think it's going to probably end up being the Chiefs because there are only one team's making it out of the the AFC North. The Steelers are going to fall off. The Ravens will eventually end up winning it. Do the Steelers make it over the Chiefs? No, absolutely not. And nobody else is making it. So I still think that the Chiefs will probably make the playoffs.
The Texans could. They're sitting at 5-5 too.
They got to play the Colts twice still, don't they?
Texans are 5-5. They play the Colts twice. They also play the Bills. So those are 3 games.
That's 1 and 2.
But then they play the Chiefs, which I think that could be a toss-up game, especially if Stroud's back.
Yeah.
Then they play the Cardinals and Raiders. Those are 2 wins. And then the Chargers, that could be another win because I'm not bought into the Chargers at all at this point.
Yeah, what happened with them with the Jags this week was just
Joe Alt is out for the rest of the season. So is Rashawn Slater. That's why I thought you were insane for having them winning. In our weekly pick'em league that we've referenced a couple times, I had the Jags hitting the spread. I gave them points because I had a feeling they were going to win, and then they went and obliterated the Chargers, which put a smile on my face. I don't know
where I'm at in that league right now. I think I fell way off. I was winning that pick'em league for a while.
I just hit 4 of my 5 this last week, so like the big brain that I am. Speaking of big brain, let's get to our best takes from this preseason. And this first one is probably the one I'm most proud of, which is Mike Vrabel sitting pretty at Coach of the Year. He's actually the guy I wanted to be the Raiders head coach, but sadly he went to New England, which makes sense because that's where he played for most of his career, if not all of it. I don't know much about his playing career, but I know he was there for a point of it. They're a playoff contender. They are first in their division, and they're beating bad teams and the good teams, really.
Drake May's an MVP frontrunner. Got a 31% chance to win.
Yeah.
So, and it's just crazy.
Mike Vrabel picked up where he left off in his coaching career with a playoff team, a solid defense, and a highly functional offense, especially when Josh McDaniels is calling plays like an offensive coordinator. Not a good head coach, but a darn good offensive coordinator, much to my dismay. Because I still do not like Josh McDaniels one bit at all, but I do quite like Mike Vrabel and the way he coaches, and because he has there's a bright spot in my not childhood, but my early, maybe my teenage years of staying up late and watching the Patriots get dethroned by the Titans. Who was it that intercepted him? Tom Brady threw an
Malcolm Butler.
interception in the red zone.
Malcolm Butler, right?
No, it wasn't Malcolm Butler. I think you're thinking of the Super Bowl.
No, Malcolm Butler was on that Titans team.
Titans versus Patriots.
Is it Byard? Byard?
No, it wasn't Byard. It wasn't that game. 2018. It wasn't that. When was it?
Logan Ryan?
Logan Ryan. That's the dude. Yeah, Logan Ryan got the pick on Tom Brady and sealed the game, which was a bright spot for me in my early teenage years. So, yeah. I think I was early teenager. I don't know. But, yeah.
I picked, it's just kind of two of them. I'm going to throw two in here. Is Christian McCaffrey winning Comeback Player of the Year and winning Offensive Player of the Year. I say winning Offensive Player of the Year because I think Jonathan Taylor deserves MVP. So if Jonathan Taylor gets MVP, that brings another offensive player. And what Christian McCaffrey is doing, rushing and receiving, is just insane. I believe he already has over 1,500 yards on the year, scrimmage yards. And we're gonna get to what he did last week against the Cardinals in the fantasy or the waiver wire Wednesday episode.
Yeah,
Because
so watch that. Don't spoil it.
Yeah. Watch last week's episode of Waiver Wire Wednesday, where I tell you what I think Christian McCaffrey was gonna do, and then go ahead and watch the Waiver Wire Wednesday tomorrow when it comes out, and we're gonna talk about what Christian McCaffrey did. But dude's just he's on another planet right now, which is crazy to say that he's not even the best running back in the NFL right now because of what Jonathan Taylor's doing. But I said Christian McCaffrey will be Comeback Player of the Year. He's definitely getting that. Like, there's no if and buts about it. Christian McCaffrey is going to Comeback Player of the Year. Like, Daniel Jones is a cat of case. There's a few guys that have a case, but Christian McCaffrey's winning that. Offensive Player of the Year, it just seems on what happens with the MVP because it is a quarterback award.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor has... Well, hold on. No. Christian McCaffrey has no way to lose Comeback Player of the Year. I get the Daniel Jones mumbo jumbo, but he's going to have that lost by the end of the year. He's already on the downturn. Jonathan Taylor's already kicking it up, and people are seeing the cracks that I've been talking about since the preseason. That's probably one of my better takes from this preseason as well. It's not on the video, but it's definitely up there for me. My next best take is an entire division, if I do say so myself. It's the NFC South. I projected the NFC South to go Buccaneers 9-8, Falcons 5-12, Saints 2-15, Panthers 2-15. Now, it's not perfect, but sitting right now, the Buccaneers are 6-4, Panthers are 6-5, Falcons are 3-7, and the Saints are 2-8. The Saints are on pace to hit that. Buccaneers are on pace to hit it. The Panthers are overachieving a little bit. Tedero McMillan is better than I expected, and then Rico Dowdle blew up. And then, who was it? Was it Andy Dalton that kept him above water? No, that was a couple years ago. Is he still their backup?
Panthers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is he still their backup? Okay. And then Michael Penix didn't take the little step that I thought he was, and now that he's out.
Took a step backwards.
Probably took a step backwards, yeah. So I will say that one of my better takes is that entire division is just mid. The Panthers are, again, overachieving from what I expect them to be doing, but I don't think that they are. I think they're pretenders if they do make the playoffs somehow. I don't think they actually have any base or foundation behind them. I think the second they make the playoffs, it's just going to be a walk-off for whoever's playing against them, because they don't have the defense and they don't have the consistency from the quarterback position to make it out of the first round, in my opinion. So, yeah.
My last good take is I had the Raiders at 6-11. I gave them a little bit more credit because you were telling me all these things, and I was starting to believe you a little bit. Can they get to 6 wins?
I mean, they play the
I don't know.
Browns this week. They play the Giants. They play the Texans. If the Texans drop the ball because they've been inconsistent, I mean,
Yeah.
and the Chargers, maybe they can win one. They almost always split with the Chargers. I don't want them to win 6 games, but they might because it's the Raiders and they don't know how to tank
Uh,
properly.
I always told you that, and I whispered it to you a lot of times.
I know. They weren't ready yet.
They're not there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
And
I
they're
also
not there
hope
yet.
they don't win 6 games because if they do, that means Pete Carroll probably gets another season. And I need them to just find somebody else and let John Spytek properly rebuild this team and stop acting like we're going to win. There's no reason the rookies shouldn't be starting right now. Just bench Gino.
Yes, I agree.
My last best take from this preseason is the Titans. I projected them to be 3-14. Currently, they are sitting at 1-9. Looking at their record or their upcoming schedule, they could very well hit that, if not winning less games than what I said. Poor Cam Ward kind of got dealt a pretty crappy hand. Um,
Yes.
I said all offseason Calvin Ridley is not that guy. Tyler Lockett
He's
wasn't
not.
going
Now
to
he's
do
hurt.
anything for them. I didn't
Now
really.
he's actually doing stuff for the Raiders.
I didn't really buy into Tony Pollard. I like Tyjae Spears, but he has injury issues. Their
Mhm.
offensive line stinks. I didn't like Brian Callahan. I was right about that. He got fired. Their defense isn't that good, and then they just shipped off Draymond Jones to the Ravens. This rest of the season, they have the Seahawks this week. They have the Jags next week. Then they have the Browns, Niners, Chiefs, Saints, and Jags. They could maybe win 2 of those games to make me totally right, which would be sick. Maybe the Browns and maybe the Saints. But I think by then the Saints are probably better. But right now, Shadur Sanders is starting for the Browns. I don't know if that's just because Dylan Gabriel is hurt, has a concussion, I believe, or what. But I don't foresee them beating the Jaguars either time. I don't foresee them beating the Seahawks, or the Niners, or the Chiefs. They did pull off one crazy. Well, I guess it wasn't really that crazy. They beat the Cardinals in Week 5, which was hilarious because my brother was so upset. But yeah, basically the Titans stink, and I was right about it. So that's nice. Now back to how these episodes usually go. In our third segment, we have our power rankings. For those of you that aren't aware, new here, welcome. We typically have a preview and a recap of a game this week and a game from last week in these episodes. But today we were just like, you know what? Let's do a little recap because last week's games were kind of meh, you know? And now we will get into our power rankings. We do 6 teams each because TD, 6 points. We're funny like that. So as we get to that, we have our 6 ranked teams, top 6. We had quite a bit of movement.
I have none.
You had no movement at all?
No movement.
I had a lot of movement. Let's see. I need to, I told myself last week that I need to just keep my things here, and I haven't. I need to stack them side by side, but instead I just don't listen to myself, per usual. So last week I had the Rams in first, Lions, Seahawks, Patriots, Colts, Chiefs. This week I have the Rams, so that's same. Patriots moved up 2 spots. Bills moved into the top 6 again. Seahawks moved down a spot. Colts stayed the same, and Chiefs got knocked out for the Broncos because they lost. The Rams are just good at football. After watching that game, they capitalized on Sam Darnold's mistakes. They pressured him, which is what his biggest issue is, not dealing with pressure. Patriots continue to win. I don't care that they have a cupcake, quote-unquote, schedule. That's not up to them. What's up to them is winning the games that they're up against, and that is what is important
to me and what is important to what should be NFL fans that are watching a good quality football product. The Bills, once again, they got by the skin of their teeth against the Buccaneers in a shootout, which has me worried about their defense. I thought about having them lower, but Josh Allen is just him. Even though he threw 2 interceptions, I didn't watch that game, so I don't really have any. I can't really say anything about it. I don't want to be a box score watcher.
Those of you that watch this channel know I hate doing that.
The Seahawks, they dropped a couple spots because of Sam Darnold. Their defense was really nice, and it was cool to see. I've always heard about, the Seahawks defense is so good. No, their defensive line is actually like solid. They don't have any like big names like a Myles Garrett or a Max Crosby or Rashawn Gary. I think the trash is being taken out. There's a beeping outside. But they just have a bunch of guys who do their jobs and do them right. Mike McDonald is once again a great coach because of that. The Colts didn't move because they were bye. And then the Broncos are back in because they beat the Chiefs. And the Chiefs were at 6, and I didn't really have any other team to put in. I don't necessarily believe in the Broncos' offense, similar to the Seahawks, but their defense is good. I don't like Bo Nix. In terms of I don't think they're going to win outside of the first round of the playoffs because of Bo Nix. I don't know. I'm mixed on him. Every analyst that I listen to is like, he's not that guy. Football 301, some of the most intelligent football people I listen to, they are not bought into him at all, and I'm inclined to agree with them. So that's why they're at 6, and yeah.
I have the Lions at 1. I know they lost to the Eagles, but I think that was just a fluke game. I didn't necessarily like how that game went, and the Lions I think the Lions kind of just shot themselves in the foot a lot in that game, and I think just the Eagles got out of that game somehow, some way, and still got the win. But I think the Lions played better from what I've seen, from what I heard. Is it possible the Rams move up to 1 here? Yes, because they beat the 4 team on my list of the Seahawks, but that's a divisional game, and it was a very, very close game. So that game could have kind of went any way. Granted, the Rams sacked Sam Darnold, I think 5 times. And
Fact check
that is the first time he's been sacked 5 times since he was seeing ghosts against the Patriots.
Is it actually? I'm surprised he wasn't sacked that many times again when he was on the Vikings.
So, Patriots obviously at 3. They probably have the MVP front runner right now, and they're playing really great. And Vrabel is coaching. Okay, he is coaching these guys, and it's like the true identity of what he wants them to be. He's got a lot of guys that were cut that weren't good enough to play on these certain teams, and he's putting them out there in places, and he's coaching them to succeed. And it's kind of matching the true identity of him. He was let go of the Titans because they thought he wasn't good enough. So he's buying into this identity of, hey, look at these guys, look at me. We weren't good enough, but we're winning games and we're ahead of the NFC or the AFC East, and we're building something here. And I think the Patriots are going to go farther than what people think. I have the Colts at 5. They didn't play anybody, and then the Bills still stayed there after beating the Buccaneers and. In a pretty high-scoring game. I think the Bills will be a team that, as they always are, come playoff time, they're there.
Give me 1 sec as I throw this graphic in. If you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize because it's going to look a little goofy, but I'm working on it. As we do on occasion on the TD podcast, we are working by the seam of our pants. And there we go. There's our current week on the left and our week before on the left, or right. Jeez Louise. So there's our movements. That's how it's going to be formatted for the foreseeable future. I might move around the face cams. I want to see what makes it look best. But yeah, that is how we will be doing it. Actually, we'll go left to right because we're in America, and that's how we read. Left to right. Looks good to me. The sizing's off. I'll fix that later. For those of you that are listening, like on podcast, you're like, what the heck is he talking about? Don't matter. We are about to wrap up this episode with our 2-minute warning, which, for those of you that don't know, which it is typically our hot takes, where we spend the last 4 or 5-ish minutes of our episode dealing out some hot takes. Dak typically has the hotter takes than me. I usually don't have any on hand. I don't think that I do this time either. Yeah, I don't have
Just
any.
go ahead and say the Cowboys are not a playoff team. They're gonna miss the playoffs. There's people saying that they'll win and they'll get it figured out. They're not a playoff team. The Texans and C.J. Stroud, they're not gonna get it done either. It's just not great. And Drake May is having a great season right now. But I'm interested to see what happens in the playoffs. Because like playoffs is when you become a better, like everything matters more there. You can do whatever you want in the regular season, but the playoffs is when it matters.
Is where you show your grit.
And, I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's a great quarterback just yet. And Michael Wilson is a stud.
The receiver from the Cardinals?
Yes. Stud.
Interesting. Okay.
He carved up the Niners defense this week. He had 15 receptions.
Okay, but how many of
on
their
18
corners
targets.
are actually going to start on a different team?
For the Niners?
Yeah.
Probably like nobody, because they're all injured.
Yeah. My point exactly. So, while he may have caught balls, good for him, but keep that with what you will, same as the Cowboys defensive line this last week. All that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and let us know down below what you thought of this episode. What preseason takes did you have, and which ones are the best, which ones sucked, and who do you have in your power rankings? Because all that is important and all that is fun to talk about. Don't forget to follow us on all the things down below, our TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. For those of you that don't know, we stream this every Tuesday and then post it to our YouTube channel. So if you wanted it early, all you'd have to do is come join us around 5:30 Eastern Time on Twitch and get your content early there. But don't forget to go subscribe on YouTube and like and all that fun stuff, because we need the traction. All that being said, hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and be glad that you now know ball. Peace.